listening to the Contraritics Podcast, pushing back against the insanity of this world with arguments that may or may not work. And here's your hosts, Josh the Gun Nerd and Ian the Beer Nut.
In the closet. Just
Here we are.
Ian and I. Yeah,
Yep.
We got 2 beers and 2 glasses, and we probably have some things to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's anything going on in the world.
Yeah.
And yes, if you hear that in the background, that is a box fan.
You'll be hearing that at least for the next 3 or 4 months.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is just with the lights. I mean, the lights were the most recent addition that it just made it just too hot.
Yeah.
Because we got servers behind us, and the fridge in the closet and stuff like that, and there's just too much heat output for this tiny little closet. So we're trying to stay alive as we record.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, if Ronk Brothers want to come and put a mini
split,
mini split up in the ceiling and just for cooling this closet, we would not turn that'd
be awesome
thing down. So.
Yeah, but we are we're in the second week of May, which is crazy.
Oh, man, it seems like it was May 1st about 15 minutes ago. So
yeah. Yep.
What
So
do you want to try first here?
Oh yeah.
You want to try Peanut Brother or Black Forest? I honestly don't know what would go.
I don't know either. Maybe let's do the Black Forest. I mean,
that's where I'm leaning.
I mean, once you get peanut into something, it's kind of hard to forget it.
That's right. That's what I always say.
It's a rule to live by.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it is. I mean, the weather's awesome. We're going into the summer months, and graduation is next month.
Wow.
Our school's feast is next week, which is always a good time. It is a fundraising event, but it's so much more. I mean, I have always enjoyed, even before. We went when we first came back from North Carolina. We went to some of those early ones, and it's always been a good time. Always enjoyed that. I mean, it's a feast for a reason,
Yeah, it is something that it's clearly for raising funds, but I've been to a fair amount of those over the years with Youth for Christ and I think other events relating to that. We have some friends that invite us along, and maybe it's just because I like the people at ours. Maybe it was just a bias there. But I actually think that it's beyond that. Like, it's actually a lot of giving for the getting.
Yeah, and I try to invite people that like whether they have students that would be eligible to come in, or just I think that they would enjoy it and maybe have something to contribute to the culture, or to the maybe they know people, maybe they're not the people that are gonna either donate or have children that do, but maybe they're just influential. And I think, because when you taste something and enjoy it and see that it's good, then you're like, hey, I know somebody that would want to be a part of this. You know? And I think we need to grow in doing that in other avenues, like not just once a year. And I do think there are places that we do it, but I think we need to keep growing in that, and having that same, I mean, you could say a vibe, but it's that whole, vibes don't lie. I mean, of course there's trickery and, false pretenses and things. But I think you can't walk into a place and, truly, genuinely happy people, you can't imitate that, if someone's trying to be fake happy or fake, fake full of gratitude is going to look different.
Yeah, they're not going to pull it off. I've stood next to salesmen as they are making their pitch, and I'm like going, this is falling flat.
You're 3 words in, and I know this isn't going to work.
Yeah, they're the excitement that they're trying to show for what they're selling isn't it, and it isn't fakeable. Like coming to the fundraising feast, you can see that we enjoy what we're doing and who we're working with, and we think that what we are doing is something that can actually change lives, and it shows. And we are feasting, partying it up in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean even in terms of like what we're doing, trying to pass on, weaponized laughter and sacrificial labors to carry on Christ-honoring culture. So like through those means, pass on, carry and advance Christ-honoring culture. Like it's bigger than just stuffing facts in heads and just getting the right answer on the test, but actually helping to influence those generations. And it's why our jobs are. I don't see it as just something to go and make sure my students are getting the best grades as possible. Yeah. It's like it's not a just check the box thing, and I don't think any job should, because I think you. As a believer, you're seeing it from a different perspective. You're seeing the bigger scheme of what God's doing with people and influence. Yeah,
there's times where, like, hey, a student could move up to the next grade or could level up from where they're at. But the thing that is not holding them back is their grasp of things. Their thing is their maturity, their growth in Christ, or if they're saved. You see a thing and you're like, man, that they're not getting it, and it's not that they're not getting the right grades or whatever. They're just not growing in a way that we'd like to see them grow, and that's like the most frustrating. Mm-hmm. You can do things to get them to be excited about getting a better grade, but you can't get them excited to do that because they want to glorify God if they're not on board in that way. And I just think about how much harder that would be. I don't know, I guess it makes it harder and easier in a public school format.
Yeah.
You don't have to care about their spiritual well-being if your only goal is, well, one, teaching them that they don't have a spirit.
I thought you were going to go for like the teaching them that they don't have like whatever sexual organ that they actually have. Like,
yeah, like, I don't.
That's not real.
Yeah.
You think you're a boy because you have that, but that's just you were just randomly selected with that equipment. It doesn't actually matter. No. Because I do actually think that the public school is good at enculturation. They're just good at enculturating the culture of death. Yeah. And they're actually really committed to it because they say it's they're the ones out in the streets saying, if you don't believe what I believe, then death to you. Yeah. Which maybe we can get into here in a second, just about when hard and soft cultures clash and who wins. But before that, what are we drinking?
So this is the Black Forest by Zoiglhaus. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. It's out of Portland, so, keeping Portland weird.
Right. Yeah.
It says arguably the greatest chocolate cake to ever come from Germany, the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, that was completely correct.
Yep.
Has its roots in the region famous for its cherry brandy. The addition of cherry puree, cocoa nibs, and cacao nibs, chocolate malts, and a dash of lactose recreate the same flavor profile you would find in a classic dessert. The monks had liquid bread. Black Forest brings you liquid cake. So,
let's see. Let's get your impression.
Yeah.
When they say German chocolate cake, I think of the other beer that I think does it really well is Icicle
Creek. Yeah.
And
it does it really well because it gets that texture of the cake in the liquid. Like, you're like, man, am I biting into this or am I drinking it?
And this is not that.
It's not that. It's good. It's dry.
It is pretty dry.
Yeah, I was expecting sweeter just by on the label. It shows like cream and cherries and like a brownie cake looking thing with raisins or something in it and some sort of cream in it, and it's not bad. It's just another thing where like sell it correctly.
It's like the salted caramel that we had years ago.
Yep.
The infamous salted caramel that was neither salted or caramel.
Yeah, this is a good stout.
Halfway decent stout. Yeah.
I like it. I mean, it's just not.
They said they put cherry puree in it, and I'm not picking that up. I mean, maybe a little bit of the tartness.
Yeah, but that tartness could be put off on anything else. Like, I don't know if they...
Yeah, even cacao nibs,
puree, on the other side of the room, in a sack and spun it around. And I might have got some in there and might not have.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's just not... I wouldn't go back looking for...
Right.
For this.
For Black Forest. Yeah. So, if you're just looking for an average stout... I would say go for it, but I wouldn't go in. Now, if you are actually looking for German chocolate cake, I would go for Icicles, which is readily available in the store, and they've really been pushing their distribution because like at Hagen they got like a full like 4 feet.
They? Yeah, I wonder if they've.
I mean, I think it's fun to go to, but I don't like their IPA. It's like, okay, it's a West Coast IPA. It's nothing
special.
The German chocolate cake is the only one that I know of that's like
I keep
really
it
unique
on hand because I've been going to beers and even sweeter beers for pairing up with a cigar and less whiskey. So like a sweet dark beer is good with a lot of cigars that I like to smoke, and so that's one I'll have. But it's like I'll buy a 6-pack of it and it'll last for 3 months, not because for no other reason than it's like cake.
Yeah, and it's like I can totally see drinking that with a cigar, but I'm not going to sit down for Taco Tuesday with. No.
That would not be good at all. That's a bad pair.
Yeah. But yeah, there's.
I'm gonna have to try that just to. I don't know. That's terrible.
Yeah. Just the thought is cringeworthy.
Taking two wonderful things and putting them together and finding out how unwonderful that could be.
Yeah. I do think we talked about. I think we should have a lager off. Because apparently the new Kirkland signature lager is now brewed by Deschutes, and it's getting great reviews. I mean, it's won a couple of awards.
Right on.
And which you never think of. Kirkland lager used to be one of the worst beers.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I actually tasted it, but I've seen it bounced around in different threads and stuff.
We should totally do that. I mean, we usually get two, what are these, 16 ounce?
Yeah,
16 ounce beers. I think we could probably do like 4 pints, maybe even 4 pints a piece.
Yeah. We're going to do of like 4% of whatever.
Yeah.
So I did get one that is, it's a 16 ounce can. It's like a blue, it's got blue corn.
Okay. Interesting.
As a malt base.
We've got a toilet problem here at the school, and our plumber just showed up. So.
Oh, they did. Where are they?
Yeah, he just pulled through and not out of the camera there. So.
Okay.
I'll have to go flag him down.
Yeah. Well, we'll just pause and All right, we got the man working on the toilet, so
Yeah.
hopefully that'll get resolved.
Resolved.
I mean, when you only have, well, two stalls in the building for boys,
Yeah.
Those are high trafficked spots.
They are.
But we were about to get on to, I mean, I had mentioned, a soft culture clashing with a hard or like very determined culture, and we were talking a little bit about, the Muslim expansion throughout the world, in the United States, in Britain, in some of these Ireland, yep. When you have these very pluralistic societies that are just like, oh yeah, come on in, with no real decided theological grounding or really ideologically. I mean, some, but it's really rooted in pluralism and not in one true God or anything. And they are very committed to what they're committed to, And then guess who wins?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not us.
Right.
I mean, in the end. But, in the meantime, it is destroying cultures and countries. And, in England, you can apparently get away with raping and cutting people. But you can't get away with saying it was a Muslim who did it. They're actually arresting people, and it's more of a crime for you to call out what's going on than it is to be the one committing the crimes.
Well, I mean, even in that video story that news story that you played before we went live, she mentioned, somebody in there mentioned something about it being like a hate crime.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like, I hate that we've invented that whole category, because okay, hate is not actually a crime.
Yeah.
Like, hate is something in your heart.
Yep.
So are we judging heart crimes now?
Yeah.
Like, that's not a thing. If somebody, like if somebody spreads lies about you, there is actually recourse that you can have.
Yeah.
But just because you're gay, whatever you are, that doesn't make it a hate crime because you're a specific class of people.
Yeah. And we can, this class of people, Christians, are the ones that historically you can speak against.
Right.
You can say whatever you want, and we're the least likely to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And so nobody else is if we aren't.
Right.
And go ahead and right now Muslims are in a especially in our country are in a state of they're still trying to bring in people behind them, and so in their the way they live, they can lie. They can use our system against us, and they're doing that very well. They did that in England. They're going to continue to do that regardless of where they go. The clip that I was showing Ian beforehand, and I want to be able to look at it more. I don't think it's going to be a problem that's going away. But they're starting a city called Epic City. They're looking at doing that down in Texas. And it stands for, what was it, the East Plano Islamic Center, and it's their goal. I was trying to find a interview that I heard. I can't find it, but it's basically I think one of the developers talking about how they're all the dues that are paid are going to help fund the Islamic mosque in this town, and how they have to basically everybody's going to be on board with it whether they like it or not, was kind of his whole reference to they're going to be paying for it. It's going to be a place where they want to eventually have Sharia law, and who knows, maybe these are people trying to foment something that isn't there, but we do see that to be a problem wherever they're at. There's places in Minnesota where, the cops don't go. There's places in France where the cops don't go because it's going to be an Islamic problem if they do.
Well, there's an ideological difference in the way these Western countries were set up, and the foundational beliefs between that and what these other people groups ascribe to. And I mean, just like I read before the show, there was this somebody reposted a tweet from Ilhan Omar that said, she said, "Hi, Donald Trump," on Twitter. "You have trafficked in hate your whole life against Jews, Muslims, indigenous immigrants, black people, and more. I learned from people impacted by my words. When will you?" And then this guy, Imam Mohammed Tahidi, replied, "Amazing what time can do. Little girl from deserts of Somalia speaking like that to the President of the United States. If you had tweeted that to President Farmajo of Somalia, he would have applied Sharia law onto you, the law you cherish so much. Behave yourself, guest." And I don't know who that is exactly, but it is interesting. I mean, he seems to at least be applying what she's been praising, and like she's been pushing for Sharia law.
Yeah.
And
she's somebody that is, married her brother to get him here.
Yeah. So it does. I wonder about. Right. In the meantime, I will break this great notion, king size peanut butter brother, open. Well, he talks about breaking a pencil in half in the background. Oh, wow. I think this is going to be better than the other beer.
Any of those yours?
Yeah, definitely no complaints about that. It says that it is an imperial stout with cacao nibs and natural flavor. So whatever that means. All right, well, we're back. Apparently it was a pencil down in the toilet that was preventing proper flushage.
Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah.
He said he was able to snap it in half.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I would believe either story, that it fell out of somebody's pocket or that somebody intentionally stuck it in there.
Yeah.
But
it's been a thing.
Yeah. That visit costed more than the pencil for sure.
Yeah.
Cost more than the pencil. But yeah, before we get back to that, we had to pour something in our glass that we were going to enjoy. Yeah.
My mouth watered.
Yeah.
Smelling it.
It's got, I mean, this is just by the smell test, it's got 10 points on the other one.
Oh, man. Yeah. Dang.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Lots of peanut butter. As it says, king size peanut butter brother. Have you had Lake Stevens Brewing their peanut butter one?
Yeah,
that's decent.
I think it's gotten better over the years, because when I first had it, I didn't like it. It was kind of bland, and it's gotten. I don't know. I mean, maybe they've modified it. Maybe my tastes have changed. I don't think so, because it does seem like it's gotten better, whether they're using more of something or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, this kind of reminds me of like peanut butter ice cream or something like that.
Yeah, with some like chocolate to it.
Yeah, it's not too sweet. But yeah, it definitely has some chocolate with those cocoa nibs.
It's like if you were to, how there's certain like YouTube channels that'll like, hey, let's take a whatever burger brand and make it with best ingredients. That's like what this is for like Lake Stevens one. I think it's just like richer, better. Like,
Yeah.
it's like if you were, took a higher quality chocolate and a better quality peanut and homemade peanut butter and, did it all yourself. It's like a better version of that.
How do they make the peanut butter whiskey? Do you know? Like, when do they add the?
It has to be afterwards.
Yeah. You'd think it would just all be.
I've noticed times when I've helped with distilling at a legal distillery that adding a product after. So if you ferment on a product, you distill it, and then you add something back to it. That sometimes the flavor can be enhanced by what was in there beforehand. So it might pull out a lot of the flavor of whatever was in there. Let's say it's plums or whatever, but you add plum juice into it. It adds a different dimension or a different depth to it that you wouldn't get otherwise. So I imagine if it's fermented with, they usually use like a peanut butter powder or something like that in this, then if it's fermented on that and then added in afterwards as well, then it's going to enhance. It's like dry hopping. You're going to hop it in the fermentation or in the cooking, and then then you dry hop it, and it just adds an extra dimension to that flavor that it just stretches it out and that makes it richer. And so this could have been fermented with some peanut butter in it. I don't know how that works. If they're adding a powder in there and how that affects the fermentation, but if they're stacking on the back end too, that's this kind of complexity.
Yeah, it's super pleasant. I would, if the other one got a 2, this would get 8.5.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
But back to our culture war question. I mean, I do think, even in England where we've seen, all the suppression of any kind of perceived weapon, like a knife, like they've been really cracking down on knives, like
knife crime, knife violence.
What is a knife? Is a sharpened stick a knife? Is a, like if we're talking about just preventing people from doing violence, then you need the right kind of people. You don't need to take away the implements, and I think what we're seeing with the clash between these cultures and Muslims, like all different type of people groups coming in through the border over the last 4 years, and now that's being, that has completely changed. I just saw a video that Border Patrol put out the other day of like, I don't know how many thousands of square feet this property was, but it was used as a temporary holding facility, and now it's just empty.
Yeah.
It processed like 700,000 people over the last couple of years, and now it's just they like
7.
Right. Yeah, it needed like over 700 people to operate. And just think of all the waste that in terms of like resources, monies dedicated from the U.S. Treasury to process all these people into our country.
The way the Democrats argue that is, look at how many jobs Donald Trump has lost. Right. We don't have people employed to take care of our invaders anymore.
Right. But I think the difference between like Christians trying to set up a community and Muslims trying to set up a community, the Muslims fundamentally have a different God that they worship, and there's different sets of rules, take Ramadan or any of those traditions and things that they take very seriously. Yeah. Those are not ingrained into our culture, into our laws, so they shouldn't be. Right.
They should not be.
Right. But there's a fundamental, because that's where pluralism breaks down at the root of it, because you can't set up laws that equally incorporate everybody's belief system and stuff like that. We're living off of the the blessing of really well-rooted forefathers that set up our laws and our Constitution and things a long time ago. But we are not the people we once were.
Yeah.
And so slowly, Supreme Court after this Supreme Court decision, we're eroding that system that has upheld us for now almost 250 years.
Yeah.
Coming up this next year, will be 250.
See if we can make it.
Right. Yeah. See if. Have you heard anything about like China suppressed? Like they no longer like put out their employment numbers and things like that. And
that's interesting.
like just how they're like, what are they hiding? Like what they're trying to posture like these tariffs and things aren't impacting them and stuff like that. But like when it's state controlled media, when it's state controlled statistics and everything, state controlled everything. What can you really believe out of that country?
Literally nothing.
And we need somebody like Trump that will just call that bluff and be like, okay, we'll see how this works. And let me know when you're willing to come back to the table.
It has been exciting to see how things are starting to return here. It seems like, I remember a time when, when stuff from China was literal garbage. I remember dollar stores when, there was still like American made stuff there that was like garbage, but it was not China level garbage. And then, China level garbage started taking over, and then you had Walmart. Which, great. That's fine. Go to Walmart. It has benefits.
Or go to Harbor Freight, because that's just another version of.
Yeah, and those are going to get expensive too.
I know. I do wonder about that. Because it's basically like walking into a made from China store.
Yeah. Which, so just to think of like mindset where certain things have a place, like back when I used to, be out in the wild a lot with, a vehicle, I would buy Harbor Freight tools so that if I lost them, it wouldn't cost so much. So like back when I was out, jeeping and things like that.
Right.
I'd have a toolbox, and it would, or bags that would be like for Harbor Freight tools. And because sometimes you go along the trail and somebody needs a 12-point 10 millimeter for a unit bearing on a 95 Jeep or whatever, and you want to keep wheeling, but you've got 4 of those because you use them a lot in your vehicle, and so you're like, here's the 12-point. If I see you on the trail later on, hand it back off. Otherwise, who cares? But you don't want to do that with what was good at the time, Craftsman or whatever else was out there. I had my own good tools that typically stayed at home for those kinds of things. So
and I do think we've kind of, even the ability to pass things off to the next generations, like by investing in cheap things, you don't really end up with anything worth passing on.
No.
And there were a couple times where I've bought cheap tools, and I've always like, why did I do that? Because like then you're like, well, I'm not going to buy another of this thing because I already have one.
Yeah.
But you're like, why did I buy the cheap one? It still works, but I don't really like it.
Yeah.
I have tried to be more committed to buying things that I think will last, and I really appreciate craftsmen that make things that are designed to last. I think we need more people building things that are both functional and are built to last, and not that are just cost so much and take so much. Because obviously the more time you put into something, the more it's going to cost. The economics of it.
Yep.
But like where you can still streamline the manufacturing process, make something really quality that's worth buying, and that will last a while, but not something that's just crazy expensive. Of course, there's we've talked about guns that we might want to buy just to pass on or hang on to, and pass on to the grandkids or something. But that's a different piece than like. But also you might want to pass on your daily carry at some point. Like even though it's got a polymer grip and all that, it's like, well, it still functions. You know? And
absolutely.
And they will treasure it because it's grandpa's.
Yep. I think
even if they just take the slide and put it on a new body, like it would still be grandpa's slide, whatever.
Yep. It's usable. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't have it here, but my Glock 19, I've had that for somewhere around 25 years, and it was already, several years old, and had spent time on a, police officer's hip in some other state. And police trade in and all that. So when I got it, it was well worn. And the other day I pulled it out, I'm looking at it, and I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, it's been around with me for a lot of things. It's been around with a police officer for a lot of things. It's got several sets of springs, generations of springs different, and a different trigger I think at one point, and those kinds of things. But it's the same gun generally, and there is a sense of pride in having something that, that wasn't even expensive, even as far as Glocks go. I think I had it somewhere around $330, 20 something years ago. But it's
that is one thing. They don't go for that much more even today. Even with inflation and stuff, like maybe $400 or maybe $600.
Well, they're $600-700, but you look at inflation and that's brand new price too. So on the used market, you're getting closer to $500, and that's not bad for having a gun that just works all the time, as opposed to like a SIG, which works when you don't want it to, and you get shot in the leg and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
No, but what? Speaking of firearms, what was that thing that you were watching just pre-show?
So there's been the Shush Act and the several different kinds of suppressor acts. So the way it works right now, if you want a suppressor, you have to. I don't know if I even have one around here. Now that, we can get more visual now that we're on the
tubes.
On the tubes.
Yep.
So to get a suppressor that I just threw on the ground.
Yeah. It's durable.
It's durable. Well, it's a dead air, but it's an old dead air, so it's durable. It's in a Wolfman, and it's shortened form. It's got some good use on it. Dead air's had more problems lately than they'd like to admit.
Have they?
Yeah, they've had problems with the lugs, so to speak. The lugs just giving up. Right. Shearing off.
Just shearing off.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one, 5 years old. It's hard to believe if that's the case. Somewhere around there. Maybe 4 years old. It might be older.
Because I got mine in 2020 and you already had yours.
Oh, yeah. So it's older. Yeah. It was right when they were... Dead Air was probably 5 years old. So however long that's been for people that pay attention to that stuff. To get a suppressor, this is essentially a muffler. Just like for your car, it's built very similar, just a different shape with more expensive materials.
Series of baffles.
Yeah, a bunch of baffles in it. You can see, on the lines there, it's got a, expansion or a chamber here where, the blast chamber basically. This one, the end can come out, and I can add a extra muffler position or spot on it to make it more quiet. So that's, a $200 tax stamp. That means I pay $200 in tax on it.
Right.
And that is a tax that's been implemented for close to 90 years now. So it was $200 90 years ago. That is about the equivalent of around $4,000 today. So could you imagine buying this as a muffler to be a nice neighbor, which is literally why I bought them. Plus they're cool. But I wanted to be able to shoot at my property and not piss off all my neighbors. in countries that won't allow you to buy the same caliber as law enforcement. You know, like, so 9mm is a thing here. In those countries where 9mm is used, they can only have 380. They have to have permits to buy guns. They can go buy a suppressor, you know, for a couple $100 maybe at the top end. Like New Zealand, I've heard of suppressors at the hardware store for like $50 to $100.
What?
Yeah. And when you think about it, like, if you have something that's a throwaway and it costs you $50, like, you're not like, hey, I can use this, you know, for a couple hundred rounds.
Yeah.
You know, if I leave it somewhere, I'm not going to be a felon.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Or
then,
out $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. So it's much less of a thing. But so this I don't know if it's the Shush Act or if it's another one. I think it's a different one that's making it so that it's treated just like any other gun part. You can go to a gun store, you can buy it, and come out with it the same day, maybe with or without a background check.
Wouldn't you say that it's still viewed as a, like, if you walked up and shoved a microphone into somebody's face walking on the street, like, do you think suppressors should be, you know, or silencer, you know, the thing that makes the pew pew go quieter, you know, like however you want to describe it?
Yeah.
Don't you think most people would be like, no, because they could just like kill people in the dead of night without anybody knowing? Don't you think that would be their response?
That would be the response because they watch movies.
Right.
You know, and if you've ever watched a movie, you will understand that movies, regardless of whatever you're talking about, aren't accurate.
Now, I would say on a subsonic 22 through a suppressor, it might be what you're thinking of.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it might be what you're thinking of. And that's super rare. I mean, you think of everybody you know in our community that has suppressed guns, and there's maybe one or two 22 suppressors.
There's only one really cool one.
Yeah, that's right. We were shooting one last night with tracers.
Nice.
It was pretty cool. Unless something burned down overnight, then we weren't shooting with tracers.
Right.
So this act that's making it so that you and I could just go buy one of these and come home with it the same day, as opposed to this, which I got it in pretty record time, in about 8 or 9 months. There was a background check that the FBI does on me. I have been background checked. It's got to be hundreds of times in my life now.
And you still haven't committed a felony?
I still haven't committed. Having this still hasn't, forced me to commit a felony. This would basically allow you just go in and buy it. And the people that are holding it up are Democrats. It's Republicans. It's Republicans, that's right. Republicans that, you know, are all pro-Second Amendment. Probably Navy SEALs with one eye. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, I'm just going to throw him under the bus because that's where he belongs to be. Dan Crenshaw.
Well, did you see that our magazine ban was just upheld at the Washington Supreme Court, which is no surprise.
No surprise.
The surprise that it was 7-2 and not 9-0.
Yeah. Wow.
Decision. I mean, I think we're kind of resolved that. I mean, we're screwed here in Washington. I mean, but like, keep what you have, and I'm thankful. You know, you got me into it before everything was completely illegal. But
yeah,
you can
travel.
What's that?
You can travel.
Exactly. I mean, I'm still hanging on to at least 2 AR lowers that
Same
now.
Here. I might have 15.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or 30.
Yep.
Who knows?
I don't hold them in a clipazine, though.
Right. But, you know, I still need to make guns for, you know, kids and grandkids, and, you know, we'll have to find another way to, who knows, maybe we'll live in a different state by then.
Yeah. Or a different country, which is a different state. Or maybe our state will be a different country.
It wouldn't take too much to convince me to move, other than the right amount of people moving also.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I've told my wife we will move when we can get a dozen other from our community to move.
Because we've watched others leave to places with nothing.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Like
it is worth going to a place that's worth going. You know, don't just go to a place because it's not this place.
Yeah,
like I don't like you will experience a similar frustration with whatever you had here. You know, you're going to take your problems with you. You know? And so if you're running from something, good luck. Yeah. If you're running to something, good on you. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And I remember middle of 2020. You know, my father-in-law was like, "What if we picked up and moved to South Dakota? Everything's open there. You know, blah blah." And I'm like, if I could convince, you know, a bunch of other people to go with me,
totally,
I would do. You know, like. Yeah, we'd get used to the winters and we get used to, you know, I don't know. I could totally be convinced of it, but
you could buy a Costco or just a warehouse.
You don't need to buy it. Can't you just bunk up in one and
there you go.
Declare it yours?
I mean, that's how it works here.
Oh yeah, that's
according to recent
state,
regulations that just passed. But yeah, I mean, like go get a large Costco-sized warehouse.
Yeah.
Section it out into living units, and then you could, you know, put down turf that won't get stolen.
Oh, right.
And,
yeah.
And you could have your indoor play area in the wintertime. Yeah, there's nothing but our community keeps us here, which is a great thing.
Yeah, it's not like I mean, because you know, Christians have lived in a lot of oppressive places through the centuries, but like we actually have a lot of options. You know, it's not like we're tied down here, like where the government would not permit us to leave or something like that. We have all the freedom of decision, but I've seen people move to Texas, move back. I've seen people move to Montana, maybe like it, maybe not. I've seen people move to Idaho with mixed reviews. You know,
Idaho is the next Seattle. It is. I mean, it really is. It is. I have spent, other than Washington, the next day I spent the most time in is Idaho, and it's not far from. Yeah. It's heading the same direction we are. What is interesting, just thinking about like freedom of movement, and that's not taken away from us yet. One of the things I got for Teacher Appreciation Week this week that was really cool, and I got a lot of cool stuff. I felt very appreciated this week. But I got a piece of the Berlin Wall.
Oh, that's cool.
And I've always wanted a piece of the Berlin Wall. And you can buy pieces of the Berlin Wall, and that's really lame. I'm not interested in that. I wanted a piece of the Berlin Wall of the story. So the Van Dynes were just recently over there, and they brought back a piece of the Berlin Wall for me. I remember watching the videos, watching live, the Berlin Wall being torn down. I've read stories of people, sewing hot air balloons and, floating over the wall and all those kinds of things. And we don't have that situation yet here.
Yeah.
We do have that freedom of movement, but I thought that was a cool. I had to throw that in there because that was just stinking awesome to finally get a piece of that history and all that. But we still have that freedom to move without having to like hide in the trunk of a car. Or I heard about a story about a lady whose boyfriend fit her into their surfboard or his surfboard. And I'm like, man, how's that conversation go with your girlfriend or your wife? Like, hey, good news, we're going to be able to get out of Berlin.
Right.
Bad news, the diet plan's going to suck.
Seriously. You see pictures of Auschwitz, that's what you need to look like.
Oh, man. Too soon.
Yeah. I mean, like, that. I mean, either that's a giant surfboard or...
Yeah.
That is a ultra tiny person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even just thinking about... I was thinking about the situation that you were saying, like, yes, we do have freedom of movement. We don't have the Berlin Wall, but like, would something ever like Red Dawn happen? Like the invasion.
the gun nerd guy in me looks at that as like a best case scenario.
Right.
Because and the reason is because I'm overall, as much as I talk about being a moral citizen first, I'm also a law-abiding citizen as far as I can be morally. And so that is the ideal on switch. You know, we've got a foreign invader. Cool. We know who to shoot.
Right.
We know we've been practicing against this. We've got the firearms for it. We know who the bad guy is. And that's the easy button to you know, a Second Amendment wet dream.
Right.
You know, that is Red Dawn is the scenario that we would want. But
yeah, for the few, but like for the many, they're just going to be like terror struck. And
yeah, you think of the mayor in Red Dawn that is like calling everybody to, you know, work together and all that, and he ends up being the real traitor in the end, as opposed to the sheriff, I think it was, that was like, hey boys, you're doing the right thing, kill these bad guys. You know,
I got to be honest, I've only seen the newer version, not the older version.
You know what? So if we're being honest and controversial, the older version is complete trash. It really sucks. I mean, people don't want to admit it, but acting in the 1980s was about as high quality as Cars in the 1980s.
Man, it seems like that.
It's
just looking
so
back.
bad.
I mean, I was born in the 80s. I didn't see anything in the 80s, but except for now. But, you know, looking back, it just like, man, was it... Like, watching your television, was it like, oh man, this is awesome? Or was it like, no, this sucks? You know, like,
I know.
I don't know.
I only spent a couple years in the 70s. I had a lot of growing up in the 80s and then early 90s. And the 80s, like, man, you have a couple of classics from the 80s that rose above the trash. But I have watched Red Dawn from the 80s with Patrick Swayze, I think twice. And it's difficult to choke down. Like it is. It's just, I mean, it feels like watching the average high school play. I think our high school plays are higher quality production, or at least higher quality acting than what you would find in Red Dawn from the 80s. So sorry, I know a lot of people.
Oh boy,
totally are
pissed off the masses.
Yeah, but I
wonder what Lou Kitts thinks on that.
You have to tell us, Lou.
Yeah,
you spent more time as a you weren't in your teens in the 80s, right? So
no,
early teens, or excuse me, late teens
maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
I spent a couple of early one year.
He talks about like snowboarding, you know, Baker and stuff back in the day.
Yeah,
you know, like
when it was like almost illegal.
They were the rebels. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots to consider, and you know, even as we discussed a couple weeks ago with Sean, you know, like we don't want to be leading with defiance in the sense that we're against everything at the outset before you even start talking. We do want to be against the right things and for the right things. So that's where we talk about welding defiance and obedience into one inseparable whole. We are working on putting some merch together, trying to reflect what we mean by that, and I think there's a place for merch that puts dangerous things like guns and also glorious good pleasures like beer or whiskey or things like that together. Yeah. It sounds contradictory because when you see alcohol, you think drunkenness, and when you see guns, you see dangerous. Yeah. But it's actually, God has given us many good things to enjoy, and we're supposed to enjoy them circumspect of who made them and who ordained like how we're supposed to live.
Yeah.
And so that's what my vision is for the merch and for just showing on your person what some of those well-defined thoughts.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I like what the ideas you're coming up with. I think I'll have some stickers here soon. I think I got a delivery
you said that, yeah.
notification. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. Whenever this drops, I'm a couple episodes behind on dropping episodes because of other media things.
Been busy.
Exactly. But it's all good stuff. So not going to complain about too much good stuff. As what's the guy from AMPM?
Oh, yeah.
What do they call that guy? Too much good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like
I forgot about that.
He's like a giant.
Is that still going on?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's like a giant cookie monster, but like he's got like, just like all the stuff all the crap that you get at AMPM
Yeah.
stuck all over him. But so not going to complain about that. But like live this week well defined. Keep your category straight. Don't get it twisted. And when it's appropriate to feast, do it all out and give to your guests like God gives to us.
Amen to that.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Contraritics. Tune in next time for another dose of guns, beer, and contrarianism.